The scorching Georgia sun beat down mercilessly on Atlanta's downtown streets as federal judge Regina Mitchell pulled her Tesla Model S into a spot near the courthouse steps. The AC had barely finished cooling her skin when she noticed a patrol car's lights flashing in her rearview mirror. She checked her watch. 2:45 p.m., 15 minutes until her first hearing as a newly appointed federal judge. The patrol car screeched to a halt, its tires protesting against the hot asphalt. Officer Mark Hawkins watched through mirrored sunglasses as Judge Mitchell, though he didn't know her title yet, stepped out of her car. Her charcoal gray Armani suit and pristine white blouse spoke of success, but something in Hawkins's mind couldn't reconcile what he was seeing. "Ma'am!" His voice cut through the humid afternoon air like a knife. Several pedestrians turned to look, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity. "This is a restricted area." Judge Mitchell turned slowly, her designer briefcase hanging from perfectly manicured fingers. 20 years of legal experience had taught her exactly how these situations could unfold. "Good afternoon, officer," she replied, her voice carrying the weight of countless courtroom victories. "I'm here for court proceedings." Hawkins's jaw tightened as he approached, each step deliberate and measured. "Court proceedings?" He drew out the words, dripping with skepticism. "You got some ID to prove that? And while you're at it, open that fancy bag of yours." The growing crowd of onlookers slowed their pace, phones already emerging from pockets and purses. Judge Mitchell's expression remained neutral, but her eyes hardened. "Officer, I'm already running late. You have no probable cause to search my belongings, and I'm certain this stop isn't warranted." "Late for what?" Hawkins sneered, positioning himself between her and the courthouse steps. "Some kind of cleaning job? Security meeting?" The casual racism wasn't lost on anyone watching. A woman in the crowd gasped audibly, while others shook their heads in disgust. Judge Mitchell's phone buzzed in her hand. A message from Chief Justice Matthews about the upcoming hearing. "Officer Hawkins," she said, reading his nameplate, "I'm giving you one opportunity to step aside and let me proceed with my duties." Hawkins's hand moved to rest on his holster, a subtle threat that sent ripples of tension through the watching crowd. "Listen here, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but you're not going anywhere until I see some ID and what's in that bag." Judge Mitchell's fingers flew across her phone screen, dialing a number she'd hoped she'd never need to use. "Chief Harrison, this is Federal Judge Regina Mitchell. I'm currently being detained outside the courthouse by one of your officers. Yes, Officer Hawkins, I'd appreciate your immediate assistance." Hawkins's laugh was sharp and cruel. "Federal Judge? That's rich. Next, you'll tell me you're the president." The distinct sound of squealing tires cut through the tension. A black SUV with government plates came to an abrupt stop behind Hawkins's patrol car. Police Chief William Harrison emerged, his face a thundercloud of barely contained fury. "Officer Hawkins!" The chief's voice boomed across the courthouse steps. The crowd, now numbering at least 30 people, fell silent. "What in God's name do you think you're doing?" Hawkins turned, confidence wavering but still present. "Sir, I caught this woman trying to enter a restricted area. She's being uncooperative and—" "Uncooperative?" Chief Harrison's face reddened. "Do you have any idea who you're harassing? This is Federal Judge Regina Mitchell, appointed by the president himself last month. She's presiding over the Thompson corruption case today." The blood drained from Hawkins's face as reality crashed down around him. The crowd began to murmur, phones recording every second of his humiliation. "Your Honor," Chief Harrison turned to Judge Mitchell, "I cannot begin to express my apologies for this officer's conduct." Judge Mitchell adjusted her blazer, standing at her full height of 5'9". "Chief Harrison, I expect this incident will be thoroughly investigated. This kind of profiling has no place in our justice system." The crowd had grown larger, with courthouse employees now gathering at the top of the steps. Phones continued recording as Hawkins stood frozen, his earlier bravado evaporating under the Georgia sun. "Officer Hawkins," Chief Harrison's voice cut through the humid air like a blade. "Hand over your badge and weapon. You're suspended effective immediately pending a full investigation." Hawkins's hands trembled as he unclipped his badge. "Chief, I was just following protocol." "Protocol?" Judge Mitchell interjected, her voice carrying the weight of 2 decades in courtrooms. "Would you have stopped a white woman in a suit entering the courthouse? Would you have demanded to search her belongings without probable cause?" The crowd murmured in agreement. A young law clerk at the top of the steps was frantically typing on her phone. No doubt, this story would hit social media within minutes. "Your Honor," Chief Harrison continued, "I'll personally escort you inside, and I assure you this incident will have serious consequences." Hawkins watched, humiliated, as a second patrol car arrived to collect his weapon and badge. His 15-year career was crumbling before his eyes, all because he couldn't see past his own prejudices. As Judge Mitchell climbed the courthouse steps alongside Chief Harrison, she paused and turned back to Hawkins. "Officer, in 2 hours I'll be presiding over a case about systemic discrimination in the Atlanta Police Department. Your actions today will be Exhibit A?" The gathered crowd erupted in a mix of gasps and approving murmurs. Several people nodded in satisfaction, while others simply shook their heads at Hawkins's spectacular fall from authority. Inside the courthouse, Chief Harrison continued his profuse apologies. "Your Honor, I've been trying to reform the department, but clearly we have much more work to do." Judge Mitchell checked her watch, 2:55 p.m. "Chief, save your apologies for the hearing. I expect a full report on my desk by tomorrow morning detailing every complaint filed against Officer Hawkins in his career. Every traffic stop, every random search, every incident." As she walked away toward her chambers, her heels clicking authoritatively on the marble floor, courthouse staff parted like the Red Sea. The whispers followed her. "That's the new federal judge." "Did you see how she handled that racist cop? He had no idea who she was. About time someone stood up to them." In her chambers, Judge Mitchell took a moment to collect herself. Her hands were steady as she opened her briefcase, the same one Hawkins had so desperately wanted to search, and removed a thick folder labeled APD Discrimination Class Action. The irony wasn't lost on her. Her clerk knocked and entered, tablet in hand. "Your Honor, the incident outside has already gone viral. 3 news vans just pulled up." Judge Mitchell smiled slightly. "Good. Sometimes the best way to change the system is to expose it." She stood, straightening her robe. "Call the Thompson case. Let's show them what justice really looks like." Meanwhile, Hawkins sat in his personal car, head in his hands. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. The video was spreading like wildfire. His wife had already texted, "I saw the video. Don't come home tonight." As Judge Mitchell prepared to enter her courtroom, she thought about her father, who'd been a civil rights activist in the 1960s. "Sometimes," he'd told her, "change comes from the most unexpected moments." Today proved him right. The bailiff approached her chambers. "Ready, Your Honor?" Judge Mitchell nodded, her expression resolute. "More than ready. It's time for some real change in this city." As she entered the courtroom, every person rose in respect. The whispers from the incident outside had already reached this room, and she could feel the energy, a mixture of awe and anticipation. Today wasn't just about one case anymore. It was about setting a precedent. "Court is now in session," the bailiff announced, his voice carrying across the packed room, the Honorable Judge Regina Mitchell presiding. And with that justice, true justice, was ready to be served.